So not once are they going to give us Godzilla vs. Fing Fang Foom. Total missed opportunity right here. And hello, this is Brave Sir Robin coming to you from Parts Unknown with another DVD review. But before I get to that, I'm going to address a bit of fan response that actually got on my Facebook page. A couple of weeks ago, I did a review for the TNA DVD, The Best of Christian Cage, the instant classic, and I did a little brief rant about where Christian lost the title after 2 days, and I was actually left with the following response on my Facebook fan page. Mark Hand wrote that it was no worse than Kane's one-day title reign back in the day. So now I'm going to respectfully disagree with Mark's head for two different reasons. One being that I think when Kane was brought in, he had a brief run as Isaac Yankem DDS, and then he was the fake Diesel. But when they brought him in as Kane, he was right away put as a top guy, feuding with The Undertaker, fought him at WrestleMania, then immediately feuding with Steve Austin, who was red hot at the time too. Now Christian, on the other hand, he started with the company in 1999. He had to climb his way up for over a decade. Like, started as like light heavyweight champion, had to climb up to like the European title and tag title runs with Edge, and even had to go to TNA for a bit just to build himself up to even ever be in the world title picture. Then just get a two-way title reign after all that, after years of and that's his final reward he gets of 2-day run. I think that's bullshit. And also, I think the way it got taken off of Christian, I think it actually shows a bad sign right now, that right now Vince McMahon is afraid to take any chances. I think that with Christian, he was afraid to he was worried that there would be a dip in purple t-shirt sales or a dip in the ratings or something, and Christian was never even given the chance to succeed or fail. And I don't think that's right either. I mean, he should have at least been given a chance. At least they could have let him have it from pay-per-view to pay-per-view and let him lose the title. But right away, he's like, no, we had to go back to default mode and go back to John Cena and Randy Orton as champs again. God forbid we get something different. So there's why I think it's different. There's my little rant about it. I hope my points are clear, and hopefully there'll cause some more discussion about it. The comment section below, I have a Facebook page and I have a Twitter. So any discussions anyone wants to do about this or any other topic, feel free to hit me up. So now that I've got that rant out of the way, let's get to the DVD that I'm going to talk about. It's WWE's André the Giant, an obvious re-release of an old Coliseum video, so not much effort was put into it, and it's even still hosted by Lord Alfred Hayes, but I do feel a bit of nostalgia seeing Alfred here, even if he is just blatantly reading off of cue cards. So let's pop this in and check it out, and I got my notes here next to me, and then I'll talk about it. So the first match they show is André the Giant versus Moondog Rex. And for some reason, at my young age, I always marked out a lot for the Moondogs. I don't know why. Here's a bit of trivia for you all too. Rex went on to become part of the original Demolition as the first Smash, but he was then replaced by Barry Darsow because his face was still easily recognizable and the fans used to keep chanting Moondog, Moondog at him. So they replaced him with Darsow because of that, and he pretty much was gone from the WWF shortly after that. So the match itself, it's your pretty typical Andre match. Instead of calling the match, Lord Alfred's on commentary, but he's just really talking about facts about Andre. Interesting facts if you want to know, like the size of watch that Andre wore or how big of a wine cellar he owned. They don't really talk about it, but the match itself, it's pretty short and effective. They even say, we're just showing this match because it's a typical Andre match where he just dwarfs his opponent, who's no small man by any means. Andre wins, of course, and he dominated, and he wins with a big splash off the ropes. Short but effective, and it exactly was what they said it was going to be, a typical Andre the Giant match. So next up is an 18-man battle royal with an impressive list of legends involved. We have names in there besides Andre, of course. There's Sergeant Slaughter, Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Iron Sheik, Big John Studd, Pat Patterson, and others. And for some reason even Mil Mascaras, for his brief time he was even in the WWF, so that shows a bit of a novelty there. It's a tough battle royal to watch because at this time they had still not quite perfected catching all the action. A lot of stuff, a lot of the eliminations and action happen off screen and you end up missing it, which is a shame, especially with all these good wrestlers involved. There's a couple storylines happening here. One is when Iron Sheik screws over Sergeant Slaughter and causes him to get eliminated by chasing him. Like, Sheik goes out through the middle ropes and then Slaughter jumps over the top and gets himself eliminated. And then Hulk Hogan, he was the WWF champ at the time, so he's fighting various members of Bobby Heenan's family. But then he gets eliminated by all people, Big John Studd, Adrian Adonis, and Tiger Chun-Li. That was surprising to see. And then But the match itself, of course, it's built around André, because Battle Royals were André's specialty due to his big size, so it was always a novelty to see him in them. He ends up being the last face in the ring with him, Adrian Adonis, and Alexis Smirnoff, and Dick Murdoch. And they all team up on André, of course, but he overcomes. Not in a contrived way either, like when John Cena does it. It actually looks pretty cool when André does and eliminates all three of them by himself and wins. So next up is another classic André the Giant staple, the handicap match. This time against the duo of Black Gordman and the Great Goliath. One thing that Lord Alfred points out is how the front row is empty, and he explains it and says it's because promoters do this as a safety precaution, because André throws out his opponents with such force that they're worried about people in the front row getting hurt. I don't know if this is true or not, maybe some sort of in-character explanation for some other reason, but I guess it adds a little bit of backstory, makes André seem a bit more impressive. André dominates again, of course, and he wins, of course, by press slamming one guy onto the other, and then he just simply sits on them to get the pin. Big guy sitting on you, of course, they're not going to kick out from this. Again, another typical showcase of what André was all about. So now we have another handicap match with André versus 3 opponents this time. We have André the Giant versus Joe Butcher Nova, Johnny Rodz, and Jack Evans. And no, not the same Jack Evans from Ring of Honor and Dragon Gate, but that would be awesome, actually. Though I'm pretty sure that Jack Evans would not have been born yet. It was funny to see future WWE Hall of Famer Johnny Rodz in this match, seeing he's pretty much treated as a total jobber just like the other 2 guys are. Nothing else is really memorable about the match. I mean, André dominates and then he piles all 3 guys on top of each other and then just gets the pin. It's just another showcase of André doing what he did best. So they finally stop with the handicap matches, and we're shown a classic of sorts. We have André the Giant versus the legendary Gorilla Monsoon in a famous boxing match. Sadly, the video quality of this match is still not very good, but neither's the match. Both guys are really out of their element, and I'm not even a fan of boxing as it is, because when I watch wrestling, I want to see the wrestlers wrestle. Even today, like, a lot of promoters are still trying to use MMA in their wrestling, and it still doesn't succeed. Luckily, the boxing part is pretty quick. They break it into a brawl, which leads to André headbutting Gorilla and then hitting him with a big splash. Oddly, no end is called to that. I remember at WrestleMania 2, Roddy Piper was disqualified for body slamming Mr. T, but André got away with this, so that's okay. And then André wins in the 3rd round by KOing Gorilla and lays him out. It wasn't a great match, but it was quick and they got it over with fast. So now another classic match. We have André the Giant teaming up with Jimmy Superfly Snuka to face the team of the Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans. They do a smart thing in this match. They build up to André getting in the ring because they know the fans want to see him get in and clear house. So most of the match we have Superfly playing the face in peril, and while the Samoans beat him down. Though, of course, he does eventually get the hot tag and André comes in, he starts to clear house. But he still makes the mistake that a lot of people make. You never headbutt a Samoan, and for André the Giant, he's no exception to that. Of course, André recovers and then tags in Superfly again, and they win with Superfly doing the big splash off of André's shoulders, a spot that would be repeated for many years by the Big Shows and the Rey Mysterios of the world. So now we have André the Giant versus the Masked Superstars, part of their rivalry. I know they were feuding at the time, and André the Giant was constantly trying to unmask him. I don't know if he ever succeeded, though, but the Masked Superstar, he went on to team with André later as part of the Machines, for those of you who remember the Machines, and then after that, he became Demolition Axe. So the match, of course, is like everything else on here. André dominates and uses his power. Then he wins with a big boot and his big splash off the ropes, like Earthquake used to do in the sitting position. And for some reason on commentary, Gorilla Monsoon calls that an atomic drop. I guess that's what it was called again. So after the match, André tries to unmask the Superstar, but the Superstar escapes and their feud, I guess, continues for another day. So now we have a pretty quick match. It's more about the storyline than the match. We have André the Giant teaming up with SD Special Delivery Jones against the Bobby Heenan-led duo of Big John Studd and Ken Patera. Early on in the match, SD is sent to the outside and hits his head on the guardrail, and then he's knocked out. And this leads to André getting double-teamed and beat down. And what that leads to is the classic spot where they end up cutting André the Giant's hair. So this was a very famous feud at the time. This was like a big deal, and this was like a big feud that actually went over for a while, like led into the first WrestleMania. And it would even be imitated years later with Kurt Angle and The Big Show when they cut the Big Show's hair. Even complete with Michael Cole yelling Vince McMahon's famous line, "They're raping him of his dignity." This, of course, leads to a one-on-one match between André the Giant and Ken Patera. Patera stalls a lot to keep Andre from getting his hands on him, because that's just exactly what the fans want to see, so you got to build that up, of course. The match itself is pretty quick. When Andre does get his hands on him, on Patera, he just beats him around. The match ends when Bobby Heenan actually jumps off the top ropes and hits Andre, which leads to a ref bump and then a DQ. And then while the ref is down, Bobby Heenan pulls out a pair of brass knuckles and starts hitting Andre with it. And it's actually pretty funny seeing Andre the Giant selling moves and going down to Bobby Heenan of all people, and then when Patera tries to get in on it too. But of course Andre recovers and then he beats both guys around, getting a bit of revenge for what had already happened to him. But of course the bigger story is coming up later. So before the next match, we're shown a segment from the classic Tuesday Night Titans with Andre the Giant as the guest and Vince McMahon hosting. And they're using this segment to build up to his match at the first WrestleMania, where Andre the Giant will be facing Big John Studd in a match that can only be won when one of the two can body slam the other. Vince McMahon mentions how Heenan put up $15,000 if Andre can win, and they're trying to get Andre to put something on the line, even suggesting that if Andre loses the match that he retire, which he declines at first, and this leads to Vince McMahon saying, well, if you decline the stipulation, some people may call you a coward, which actually pisses Andre off, and he lifts Vince McMahon up off his feet by his shirt collar and walks off. And afterwards, Vince seems pissed. An early bit of acting, which would actually foreshadow what we'd see more than a decade later when Vince McMahon is feuding with Steve Austin. Maybe he really was that pissed, though. It's hard to tell, but it was a pretty good segment, and it built to the WrestleMania match quite nicely. So now for the final match on this DVD is the classic WrestleMania match between Andre the Giant and Big John Studd. And on this DVD, we are given new commentary where instead of Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, the original commentary team, we have the team of Michael Cole and Taz. Not exactly an upgrade there, is it, though? Obviously done, of course, because at this time they had to pay Jesse Ventura royalties every time they used him on a DVD. So a lot of times they'd either censor him out or do stuff like this. A shame, really, because Jesse Ventura was, if not the best, a very good color commentator, my personal favorite, and one of the best there ever was. He told a story like nobody did. He did a great job making stuff seem more real, if that makes any sense to you. So the match itself, if you're expecting a 5-star work rate classic, this is not going to be it. It's all about the storyline. It's two rivals clashing with something major on the line, and can you even imagine them trying to pull a match off like this today where there's no near falls or nothing? So the biggest move that's going to be in this match they're building up to is a body slam. You could never do this now. I mean, even with guys like the Big Show or Kane, they've been beat around so much, you could never do this. At this time, it was a big deal to see either guy even be body slammed. I mean, when Hulk Hogan body slammed Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, it was a big deal. And it was a big deal then for Andre the Giant to do the same to Big John Studd then. So that means, of course, he wins. It's a good match for nostalgia, but by today's standards, it may be a bit slow in plotting. Andre the Giant does get the body slam, wins the money, and tosses the money to the fans at ringside, which leads to Bobby Heenan coming into the ring, taking the money back and running off. A classic moment. You can't go wrong with this. So that's WWE's Andre the Giant. Like I said, it was just a re-release of an old Coliseum video. I would have liked to have seen a proper release of an Andre the Giant DVD, maybe with some of his heel moments, some matches past 1985. But it's still worth picking up to see some matches from when Andre was still in his prime. A lot of fans don't get to see stuff like this very often. Most DVDs they put out only show no new footage. But the only way I'd get it, I bought it for $5. It's only 2 hours long, just 10 matches, but they're all very quick. I'd say the best match on here, is him and Superfly against the Samoans. Worst match probably being the boxing match with Gorilla Monsoon. If you could find it for dirt cheap in a clearance bin or something, I'd say pick it up, but don't pay more than $5 to $10 for it. So until WWE does put out a classic DVD, this is Brave Sir Robin signing off, and also as a recommended viewing, if you're a fan of Andre the Giant, I recommend The Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies of all time. Andre the Giant's in it playing Fezzik, and it's a really great movie. I think I may go watch it afterwards. So until the movie's over, this is Brave Sir Robin signing off.